So one thing that I haven't really heard except for Atal from the very beginning, while he was sharing the paper analysis, is the discussion of women and using women as a political tool is something we need to change. Male allies need to take action and solidarity with Afghan women that want to be part of the state and state building as a whole. We can no longer ignore this issue and treat it as something to bypass or ignore. So the gap between state and society with the past governance structure existed and it still exists within the current structure. And there's a wide gender gap. There used to be, and there probably still exists, women community-based organizations, women's community development councils, women's health networks. These were the most sustained because they worked with each other. They were the most trusted interface between the state's promises and the community reality. And so now they're underfunded, they're undersupported, ultimately abandoned, and women can no longer participate. Well, not all women. There are some women that exist and are doing amazing work on the ground in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of volunteering. Some are working with nonprofits at limited spaces, but they have to bring mahrams with them. So there's more challenges that come with serving the communities. But I want to provide some examples where women were really part of the state building process. It was during the National Solidarity Program, that which later became the Citizens Charter Program, where there were 26,000 CDCs, community development councils, covering 22 million rural Afghans. And half of those seats women held. So you had a 19-year-old woman from Ghor, one of the most remotest provinces in the country, who stood up at a national conference and presented directly to the president on what her CDC had built and what the challenges were. You had parliamentarian women who stood up to represent the districts and cities and the varying needs that every single province needed, right? When you don't have that now, these women then get ignored, their needs get ignored, or they're done on a very individual level instead of systematic changes. You had women that were also in Balkh, managing the finances of road construction projects. Like they were actively supporting state building in the most, constructive ways. So I also just want to show that Afghan women can be state builders. They are state builders. They're currently doing that work. They're not just victims of state failure, but we need to address it. And they need to be part of how we develop the country. And we can still do it while adhering to our Islamic values and our cultural normalcies. And that's something that just constantly gets ignored that I want to make sure is at the forefront of these conversations.